Hello, 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 friends. Okay, so today I am going live to talk about the four nurses that worked at Emory that got fired. Please leave a comment in the chat if you've heard about this, what your opinions or thoughts are. If you're watching the playback, also let me know what your comments are. Do you feel like they should have been fired or not? I'm going to attempt to play this for you. I really hope that you can hear it. If you can't hear it, let me know. I do have a backup. I'll be able to read what they said.
Is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat? What? My ick is when you ask me how much the baby weighs and it's still in your hands. Dad comes outside and asks for a paternity test right outside the room door.
Saying you don't want any pain medicine, no epidural, but you are at an 8 out of 10 pain just a Cervidil, and you're still closed, fingertip.
Well, we've already told you to push a call light, but every 5 minutes, your family member coming at the front desk asking for something else. Can I have a blanket? Another ick, when you're going room to room between one baby mama and your other baby mama. Oh, ick. It's the unlimited trips to the nurse's station for me.
So, ouch. You know that this channel is usually very pro nurse, but this video is bad. It looks bad. It looks bad for nurses. If you're, I have a few things, right? A few things to say, and some of it will be just advice if you are a nurse, if you're a younger nurse. But if you are that burned out, if you are that unhappy on a unit, then please move, go somewhere else where your patients are either asleep, maybe endo or surgery, something, right? But then lastly, do not go online. And TikTok is a double-edged sword. A lot of people now are seeking notoriety, but if you get that notoriety, maybe you're going to wish that nobody ever saw that video, because all four of these nurses were fired after posting that video. They worked at Emory, which is an Atlanta hospital. The video reportedly got more than 100,000 views and spread across other platforms before being taken down. And it depicted employees wearing nurse scrubs appearing to provide their take on a TikTok trend in which users detail their icks. So icks as like what you don't like, what annoys you about the job, right? And feel free to weigh in, but a lot of their icks weren't even that bad. And I was in the hospital maybe 6 months ago, and I was treated awful, right? And that's being in healthcare. So we have to do better. I know that nurses are overworked. I know that we're overworked, underpaid, understaffed. We have too many patients, but be proactive. I always say this, right? Maybe a patient wouldn't have to make that many trips to the nurse's station if you were proactive and you provided them with water ahead of time, or you provided them with things that they may need, right? Anticipate their needs. And just remember why you got into the profession. This is a profession to be empathic. This is a profession to be compassionate. Do not take it out on the patients. It's not their fault. It's not the patient that gave you that 8-to-1 ratio or that 6-to-1 ratio. It's the hospital's fault, not the patient's fault. So remember always, it's hard, but you have to be kind. You have to be empathic. And I wish I could say that this is the rarity, that this is not normal. But unfortunately, in healthcare, people are so burned out that things of this sort are very prevalent, this kind of discussion. But please, for goodness sakes, do not post it online. Like, there is no TikTok trend that is worth you losing your job. These nurses, their faces now is going to be plastered all over the internet. The video has been taken down, but it's going to live on forever in the internet because it's in multiple places, right? So even though the video has been taken down, everybody still has access to it. And now when these nurses go to interview for positions, they're going to be recognizable. They're going to be asked, why were you let go from your previous job? And like I said, a lot of this just seems very minor for them to be complaining about. I mean, if someone wants water, get them some water. Uh, so it is disappointing. I don't think that the hospital overreacted. It was kind of cringy to watch. So the hospital released a statement and said this video does not represent our commitment to patient and family centered care and falls far short of the values and standards we expect every member of our team to hold and demonstrate. Remember, at the end of the day, nursing is a profession and we are professional. We have to remain professional. So Yavel said, I know it's unprofessional and a bad look, but at the same time, I've seen much worse from nurses. I guess the lesson here is don't post videos taken at work. Exactly. And I have seen a lot worse too, like when nurses talk amongst each other, like not to say that I have engaged in this conversation, but I have seen videos that other nurses will send to other nurses. Personally, even those videos, I'm just like that's really mean. That's really rude. Like, I don't know, work on your empathy, work on your compassion again. Um remember that why you got into this profession. You got into this profession to help, to care for other patients. Um, anyway, so Emery said, at no time should our patients ever feel they are not being treated with care and respect. And that's a big one. Like, sorry, I just choke randomly on my own saliva. But if patients are seeing these videos and then they come to the hospital, they're they already have a bad taste in their mouth, like, oh, I'm being judged or I'm an inconvenience if I ask for something. Let me go back. Every patient at Emory Healthcare deserves to be cared for by a compassionate, experienced team in a comfortable and safe environment. And I agree with this, right? If you are familiar with my channel, you know how many videos I'm always talking about improving working conditions for nurses, but this is not appropriate. This is not, and again, if you're a younger nurse, I know that, I'm in my 30s, like pushing almost, I'll soon be in my 40s. So if you're 20 something, everything now is posted online, right? Everything now is about let's post it on TikTok, but there are some things that should not be put on the internet. There are some thoughts that you think that you should not be saying out loud. I have ADHD. Sometimes I'm impulsive and I lack a filter. But in nursing, we have to filter ourselves because we see a lot. We're exposed to a lot. We experience trauma, we're burned out, we have PTSD, but we cannot just everything that comes to our mind or every thought we have. And even if these nurses were just playing around and they weren't serious, um, it's not appropriate. It's not. And I, as I was gathering everything to make this video, unfortunately, there's been a lot of Black women that have gone to this hospital and they have experienced a lot of discrimination, a lot of care disparity. So I don't have the statistics right in front of me right now, but there are racial gaps in healthcare. And if you're a minority, you tend to be discriminated. You tend to suffer longer. You tend to not get the healthcare that you need. So it's sad that a lot of the nurses in this video were minorities themselves, but that a lot of people that have gone to this hospital as minorities, this is a trigger. They have lost their child. They have experienced adverse outcomes at this hospital. So, again, listen to your patients. I cannot reiterate that enough. Listen to your patients. I don't care how long you've been doing nursing. That is my pet peeve. When a nurse thinks that they know everything and they don't listen to their patients. I don't, the patient knows themselves more than you know them. So listen to your patient. Every patient is different. Every patient is unique. And maybe what they're telling you is real and can clue you in on an actual diagnosis or on an actual problem. So the first ick that the nurse said was, my ick is when you come in for an induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat? Who cares? Like, let them shower, let them eat, whatever. Like, who cares? Someone else said it's the unlimited trips to the nurse's station for me. Like I said, patients are sick, they have needs. I was recently in the hospital. The nurses like maybe stopped by once a shift, didn't bother to put in a diet order for me, didn't bother to bring me water, except maybe on day 2, like at the start of the shift, didn't check in on me. So this kind of hostility towards patients is not the way that healthcare needs to be going. Target your hostility elsewhere, like towards hospital. I'm not saying like be actively hostile to them, always be professional, but I'm saying like if you're frustrated, advocate for patient ratios versus taking it out on patients. And like I said before, that no TikTok trend is worth you losing your job. So before you press record on your phone, think about if your mom were to watch this, if your pastor priest were to watch this, if everybody were to watch this, if your hospital manager were to watch it, would they be okay with it? Would they think it's appropriate? Exactly. So Yavel is, I guess, more seeing their point of view of it. Like I said, I just saw this video, and I guess from my personal experience as a patient, like being treated, like I was made to feel like I was icky when I was in the hospital. I had to call my husband because the nurses were not listening to me, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I wasn't going to be able to advocate for myself, and I needed somebody there. It was an awful experience. So Yuval is saying it's unfortunate that they got fired in such a public way. A simple Google search will out them. I think he meant to say, will out them. It will be hard to find employment after. Exactly. So I know I know some people want that TikTok notoriety. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. Your followers aren't paying your bills. For a very, very, very few percentage, followers are paying bills, but not for the most of us, right? You're not Charlie D'Amelio, whatever, however you pronounce her name. Um, you're not Nurse Blake. There's very few nurses out there that YouTube does not pay my bills. Like YouTube is all up and down. It's not steady. It's not sustainable. I'm a smaller channel. Maybe if you're Mr. Beast, it's sustainable, but again, it's a very, very small percentage. So don't fall victim to this ideal of like, oh, I'm just going to post all these videos and gain a lot of followers and maybe I can live off of this. Like, no. So, like you've all said, it's a simple Google search. It's going to be very hard very hard for them to find employment afterwards. And again, you go to nursing school for so long, you study, you take tests. You don't want to risk getting fired. You don't want to risk losing your license. And we just have to do better. Okay? We have to do better as nurses. Like, don't ever take it out on the patients. Don't ever lose your empathy and your compassion, because if you lose your empathy and your compassion, then move out of the where you're dealing with patients. Like, you need to do something else, whether it's informatics, whatever it is, like leadership. If you like leading and management where you're dealing with nurses but not patients, even though technically, I don't know, I think still at leadership and management you're dealing with patients as well. So if you are this burned out, how they're burned out to the point where like everything is icky or whatever, and like again, it could have just been they were being sarcastic, they were being humorous, but there's probably a kernel of truth if it was a joke or if it was sarcasm. So be very careful about what you put online. Be very careful about who you share your innermost thoughts with, because anybody now can put things online, right? Even if you send someone a snap or a private message or whatever, they can put everything online. So just protect yourself and do it, like practice mindfulness and be compassionate towards yourself so that you can be compassionate towards others. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you make sure that you hit the like button, make sure that you subscribe, make sure you turn on that notification bell. So Emmy said that at the same time, these nurses are aware of putting themselves out in public via social media. Chances are they wanted to use TikTok as a platform to speak out to the public. And we won't know if they wanted to speak out to the public or to just other nurses, but keep in mind that, like I said before, TikTok is amazing at putting content in front of hundreds of thousands of people, right? Their algorithm just shoots everything out. So even if they intended it more towards the nursing community, you have to be mindful that the general public is going to have access to it and they're going to be disgusted by it because they don't do nursing on a day-to-day basis. They don't see what we see. They don't go through what we do. And again, nursing is very, very hard. We go through a lot and we are extremely underpaid. So they don't have that in the back of their minds, right? But so that they're going to react negatively, and they did, and then they lost their jobs. So thank you so much for weighing in, Emmy, and think twice before you post.